Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members. AB 188 will strengthen the safety net for California's poorest families. Childcare for California's poorest families is provided by community-based public and private nonprofit alternative payment program agencies, APPs. The funding cuts to the APP agencies during our budget crisis have made it more difficult for them to do their job. For these agencies, one caseworker supports an average of 185 families. Agencies are closing, leading to more pressure on the ones that remain. We recognize that this is not only a legislative issue, but a budget issue, and are pushing both avenues. The current system of support is unsustainable. A modest increase in their budget will allow us to prevent this from happening and protect vulnerable working families. Joining me today to help answer any questions that you might have is Deneen Micheletti, the CEO of Kappa Children's Foundation.
Move the bill.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any testimony from the witnesses?
Deneen Micheletti, representing the California Alternative Payment Program Association, and here to answer questions and provide more background. Agency CEO speakers are Carol Thompson, Child Care Links, and Mr. Richard Rushton from Family Resource and Referral Center.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having us today. And I just want to indicate that for some time we have been operating with less money than we did in many years past when the workload was considerably less. And we are finding now that we can't hire the amount of staff that we need in order to provide the services that we want to receive so that our clients can reach self-sufficiency and be on their own as quickly as possible. So we really are waiting to get some support so that we can hire qualified workers to be able to establish relationships with the clients and the parents and the families so that we can make that happen. So we really hope that you will support this increase for us because we have taken cuts in the past. Thank you.
I did want to thank Assembly Member Garcia for taking on this issue. We have learned from longtime experience that we cannot brochure our way to ensuring that families efficiently move forward through the certifications and documents required for eligibility and need determinations. It does take time and the right people who are committed to do it. In our agency, we have 40-plus pieces of documentation necessary that we have to work through with the family initially. When a quarter to a third of families walking in the door are deemed ineligible, it is important to emphasize that these activities are not counted or funded. This would actually not be so bad if our case management reimbursement rates had not been cut by 7.5% over time. What's more is that we have the information at hand to assist with eligibility determination for nearly all the programs across the ages and stages of the families we work with, which we can't make headway on if we have to keep squeezing caseloads to the same caseworkers. This bill acknowledges the work for eligibility determination and recognizes the rest of what is actually done for in the service of families and children. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the testimony. May I ask you please state your name and affiliation for the record?
Richard Rushton, Director, Family Resource and Referral Center.
Richard.
Yeah.
Ron Shea Jones on behalf of Knowledge Universe and strong support, and we would urge your aye vote.
All right, great. Anyone wanted to add on to the support?
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Marlette. I'm the CEO of Valiant Children's Services in Butte County, representing a small rural Northern California. This bill would enable us to reduce our caseloads from one caseworker to 150, to increase staff to be working full-time instead of part-time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shireen Walter, representing California State PTA Parent-Teacher Association, in support of the bill.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Philip Warner with Children's Council of San Francisco. This bill would enable our caseworkers at our agency to do so much more in support of our families beyond basic eligibility and need determination. Thank you for your support.
Any opposition? Do we have a motion?
I'm sorry, yes.
We do have a motion to pass to appropriation. At this point, I'm sorry. Oh, any questions from the members? No. Ms. Garcia, you may close.
I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Great. Thank you. All right. Secretary, please call the roll.
Chu.
Aye.
Chu, aye. Mays.
Aye.
Mays, aye. Calderon. Calderon, aye. Lopez.
Aye.
Lopez, aye. Mainshine. Stone. Stone, aye. Thurmond.
Aye.
Thurmond, aye. The bill is out.
Great. The vote is out, and we will hold it for 5 minutes at the end of the meeting. So the next one, we're going to pick up Mr. Mullins, item number 5, AB 371.
Chairman, I'm waiting for my support testimony. Would you be able to go to other committee members?
Okay, great. So we'll take on Mr. Calderon's AB 71. Four? Okay. It was AB 74, Mr. Calderon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I want to start off by accepting the committee amendments as author amendments.
Thank you.
AB 74 will require annual unannounced visits in Department of Social Services licensed facilities, including residential care facilities for the elderly, assisted living facilities, family daycare homes, and child daycare centers by July 1st of 2018. In recent years, there have been a growing number of incident reports in facilities across California that have led to dangerous situations of neglect and abuse for our elderly and children who are in these facilities. Currently, we are operating under a complaint-based oversight system that is reactive to issues in our facilities instead of being proactive to prevent and stop these issues before they become deadly. Without having annual unannounced visits, our state will continue to provide inadequate oversight over these facilities and continue to put our most vulnerable populations at risk. AB 74 employs a phased-in approach to annual inspections in order to allow DSS time to properly hire and train new licensing program analysts, inspectors, and make sure all of our facilities are being regularly inspected. I respectfully request an aye vote on AB 74 so that California can ensure that we have boots on the ground to protect our most vulnerable citizens and provide the oversight that they deserve. I have with me today Heather Harrison with the California Assisted Living Association, Linda Asato from the Resource Revenue Network, and Rita Magana, a licensed program analyst from ASME Local 2620. But I see Peter Kellison here instead. So thank you, Peter.
All right. So the bill do pass as amended to the Assembly Aging and Long-Term Care Committee. We have a motion and a second. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. Heather Harrison with the California Assisted Living Association in strong support of this bill. I'll be very brief. These inspections are really the foundation of the oversight and licensing system. We've been advocating for an increase in inspections for several years now. This is the year to do it. We're committed to make it happen. It's one of our top priorities, and we urge your support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Committee. Thank you, Chair Chu and the committee, for this opportunity to speak before you this afternoon. Rita McGuire, Executive Vice President of ASME Local 2620, proudly representing 500 LPAs who work for the Community Care Licensing Division within the Department of Social Services. ASME Local 2620 is in strong support of AB 74. This is a good bill. It seeks to increase protections to some of our most vulnerable populations who require the services of CCLD. Evaluations of the Community Care Licensing facilities are the most important job performed by the licensing program analyst. I'd like to share one example of a facility evaluation. A complaint had been received that personal rights were violated of a child in care. The LPA goes out to the facility, realizes the director's not available at the moment, so stands by the office waiting for someone to assist. When the LPA observes a child walking through the hallway, unsupervised. The child stops, observes some art, still unsupervised. Staff person comes around the other corner, sees the state representative there and says, "Can I help you?" The LPA says, "No." but that unsupervised child could use some assistance. The LBI decides to go ahead and tour the facility, goes around the other corner, finds another child in the bathroom, unsupervised. Also, during that same visit, it was realized during the record review that a staff person was supervising school-age children, not fingerprint cleared with the department. This isn't proactive. A fine was issued. The department is no longer proactive. Since 2003, we have observed a steady increase in the number of public complaints registered with the department alleging violations of policy. Further, the department's administrative and legal actions since 2003 have increased at a steady rate. We need to return to a proactive focus. There is a lack of protective oversight. This needs to be corrected. We ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Peter Kellis on behalf of Leading Age California, which represents the not-for-profit continuing care retirement communities, assisted living facilities, and affordable senior housing providers in the state. We support the bill.
Okay, thank you very much.
Jim Gross on behalf of the County of San Diego in support.
Thank you.
I'm Linda Sato with the California Child Care Resource and Referral Network. And I just want to say is that parents using child care in a licensed facility that's licensed by the state expect that health and safety conditions are made. So we just want to say we strongly support this bill.
Yep. Mark Victoria, Ask Me Local 2620 again. Strong support.
Thank you.
Mike Montgomery, Congress of California Seniors. We support the bill.
Kathy Sunderling with the County Welfare Directors Association in support.
Rebecca Curley on behalf of the California Retired Teachers Association in support.
Carol Thompson, Child Care Links, strongly support.
Deneen Micheletti, representing California Alternative Payment Program Association, in strong support.
Shireen Walter, California State PTA, in support of the bill.
Thank you.
Shar Krantz on behalf of First 5 California in support of this bill. Dowling Nivlas, State Council on Developmental Disabilities. We support, in concept, the bill.
Thank you.
Hi, Philip Warner with Children's Council of San Francisco in strong support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Member Mansher has a question.
Well, thank you very much. I want to commend the author on this bill. This is an excellent bill. I'm pleased to be a co-author on it. I think this is something that's really important. I know you've spent a lot of time working on this, and I just want to thank and recognize you for that work. These are important issues. I'm pleased to see all the people who are here in support of it, particularly pleased to see the County of San Diego. But, of course, glad everybody else is here as well. So this is nice work, nice bill, and definitely proud to support it.
Great, thank you. Any oppositions? Seeing none. Any other further questions? Mr. Thurman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to add context. We've had in the Budget Subcommittee on Health and Human Services, we've had rigorous discussion about the kind of problems that occur when these inspections do not occur on a regular basis. And tomorrow, we are having a continuation of that discussion, specifically with community care licensing, to hear further discussion about the need for annual inspections. The department and the governor are proposing something that is much, much less secure, I would say, that inspections would happen every couple of years, maybe 3 years, down from 5 years. And if you've ever been on the end of a visit to a facility that serves people with developmental disabilities, and you've seen the kind of abuse and neglect that I've seen directly in a 20-year social service career, this is an obvious no-brainer. We need more inspections, not less. And while no inspection is going to be perfect, setting the bar high to say that we value life for seniors, for children in child care, for those who are in community day facilities, we've got to send a message. This is very powerful. I'd like to commend the bill's authors, and I would recommend that the committee support this action at this time.
Thank you. Any further questions? You may close.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Committee members. Mr. Manshine, thank you for your comments, as well as Mr. Thurman. Thank you for yours, and I want to thank you, as the Chair of Budget Sub 1, for your support in this issue. And I know that we've had a lot of conversations, but you're a true champion. We're so glad to have you here with us in the legislature, but also chairing Budget Sub 1. You know, there was a $5 million cut to the Department of Social Services that brought our inspections from annual to once every 5 years, which is where they're at right now. You come back and they want $20 million a year ongoing on top of that to get back to annual inspections. And, you know, that's troubling. But, you know, what we're dealing with here is our grandmothers, our children, our parents, they are in these facilities and there are abuses occurring. And this is how we can directly pass something that is going to protect them. And while I appreciate the governor's effort and the department's effort to try and get there, it doesn't go far enough, but this bill does. So I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Calderon. So I'll repeat a motion. Do pass as amended to the Assembly Aging and Long-Term Care Committee. So may I ask the Secretary please do the call?
Chu.
Aye.
Chu, aye. Mays.
Aye.
Mays, aye. Calderon.
Aye.
Calderon, aye. Lopez.
Aye.
Lopez, aye. Mainshine. Mainshine, aye. Stone.
Aye.
Stone, aye. Thurmond.
Aye.
Thurmond, aye. Bill is aye.
All right, so the vote is out. And the last item is item number 5. Member Mullen.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, my friend. You too.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members. The CalWorks Family Unity Act of 2015 is a modest effort to support and strengthen family unity for low-income families served by the CalWorks program, which, as you know, serves our state's poorest families with children. Current law prohibits a two-parent family to qualify for CalWorks if the primary wage earner is working over 100 hours a month, regardless of their income. This rule assumes that a family working more than 100 hours per month would earn an income above the income threshold. While this should be the case, unfortunately, in many cases it is not. This rule is a result of the child deprivation test, an outdated rule in the CalWorks program, a vestige of the old AFDC, Aid to Families with Dependent Children program that only 9 states retain. The child deprivation test denies aid to families based on whether or not they are deprived the care of a parent, including when the child lives with both parents, but the primary earner is unemployed. The old AFDC rule defined unemployed as working 100 or more hours a month, and current CalWorks law retains that definition. AB 371 would remove this child deprivation rule and the 100-hour rule for two-parent applicants. With me is Kevin Aslanian with the Coalition of California Welfare Rights Organizations to answer any technical questions you might have. We also have support from the Western Center on Law and Poverty and many other organizations.
Move the bill.
Second. Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Kevin Asley. I'm with the Coalition of California Welfare Rights Organizations. And the reason we support this is because I vividly remember when a young lady walked into my office and she was working for McDonald's 25 hours a week and with one child, and her husband came back. And as soon as her husband came back, they became a two-parent family, and they sent her a letter saying they're going to stop her CalWorks benefits and she would not be able to pay rent. And she came to me and she asked me, what should I do? And it killed me to say that if you want to have a place to live next month, you can't have your husband at home. And that's really sad to break up families. This will keep families together. And we ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Kathy Sunderling with the County Welfare Directors Association. We also support the bill. We're learning as we administer the CalWorks program in this growing age of inequality that you can have a two-parent family. You can have a family where they're working 100 hours or less and 100 hours or more, and they cannot make ends meet. The high cost of living in California is such that these arcane requirements that do date back to the pre-welfare reform days, the 1990s and beyond that, are just not providing enough support for the children that are living in deep poverty in California. We have the highest poverty rate in the nation when you look at the adjusted rates, and we know that deep poverty is toxic to children, that it will affect them for their entire lives. They'll earn less than their counterparts. They'll have poorer health than their counterparts. So we're supporting this measure because we want to be able to support families to stay together, to stay intact. And if their income is below the income threshold, they'll be eligible for CalWorks, and we won't have to look at these more outdated requirements such as deprivation and the 100-hour rule, which are now no longer part of our Medi-Cal program, and in this case would no longer be part of the CalWORKs program either. Thank you for your support.
Thank you very much. Is there any public member that wanted to add on to the support? Please state your name and your affiliation.
Deneen Micheletti, representing California Alternative Payment Program Association, in support of elimination and assumption that just doesn't hold to reality.
Thank you.
Carol Thompson, Child Care Links, strongly support this bill in order to provide families to have lives like the rest of us.
Thank you.
Garth Bunzy of the Children's Council of San Francisco in strong support.
Thank you.
Philip Warner and Children's Council of strong support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any oppositions? Seeing none. Any questions from the members?
Just one question. As you know, this is pretty much identical to AB 1502 in last session. Is there any thought at all of wanting to amend it to include the same language? As you know, there wasn't one Republican that voted in favor of it. But is there any thought at all about amending it after this hearing?
Well, we're taking it one day at a time here. We were hung up on the Senate side in the Appropriations Committee. We keep an open mind to gain as much support as possible, but in terms of this hearing today, we want to maintain the integrity of the language. So we haven't entertained any changes as of yet, but we'll certainly be open to discussions to ensure we have bipartisan support on the bill.
I think I can be supportive of it today as it's currently drafted, but if it began to change, I think we'll have further discussions.
Got it.
We don't intend to amend the bill to include the child exemption. The parent, the relative exemption that we had in last year's bill. That one came out, and this is a one-piece bill, not a two-piece bill. Okay.
Great.
Sorry.
Mr. Thurman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just thinking about Mr. Mays' question. I think it's a great question, and I think that we should move this forward. And thank Mr. Mullen and the advocates for bringing it, because the days when we tell families that they have to live invisibly and separate, I think, are just a mistake. When we tell fathers or even mothers that you cannot be a two-parent family, even though you might be living on $16,000 a year, nobody can afford to live on $16,000 a year, which is what a minimum wage job pays at 40 hours a week. So I think this is right-sizing a situation that has needed to be changed for a long time. But I think Mr. Mays raises a very important point about how it might get supported further, and that is, can we identify data about where people are living in poverty throughout the state? And if we look at where people are living in poverty throughout the state, I think invariably what we're going to find is those individuals are living in every single assembly member's district, regardless of their party affiliation. I think it's just going to be a fact that we're seeing many families living in poverty, below poverty levels, and that this is something that can be helpful to all Californians regardless of party affiliation. That's my one thought to your question, Mr. Mays, and I think it might help the bill as we try to move forward beyond the Assembly.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Mr. Mullen, you may close.
Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
All right, great. So the recommendation is to pass to appropriation. I'll ask the Madam Clerk to call the roll.
Chu?
Aye.
Chu, aye. Mays? Aye. Mays, aye. Calderon? Aye. Calderon, aye. Lopez?
Aye.
Lopez, aye. Mainshine? Mainshine, aye. Stone? Aye. Stone, aye. Thurmond?
Aye.
Thurmond, aye.
Great, thank you very much. We got all the members here, so I think this. So I'll stay around for 5 minutes for members to add on.